Welcome back. I'm Angel. Before I get into today's episode, I need to tell you about a movie. In 1998, Jim Carrey starred in a film called The Truman Show. The premise is simple. A man named Truman has lived his entire life in a place called Sea Haven. Every morning, he waves to his neighbors. Every evening, he comes home. He fell in love once, lost her, and kept going. He thought that was just his life. What he didn't know was that the entire town was a massive film set. That cameras were watching him from every corner he couldn't see. That every single person around him, his friends, his wife, his neighbors, were all paid actors. And that every second of his existence had been broadcast live to billions of strangers around the world. He thought he was free. That movie's lead actor was Jim Carrey. Today's session is from Candace Starr's March 16th, 2026 livestream. She asked 𝗠𝗲 one question. Do you think Jim Carrey is still alive? 𝗠𝗲 answered a lot of things that day. But I need to start from the beginning, because if you don't know how that session opened, you won't understand why what came after matters as much as it does.
Is the host mic checked? We need it flawless. It's ready. Levels are perfect.
Cameras 2 and 3 are aligned, standing by.
That day, Candace pulled out a new piece of jewelry, a pendant with 3 engravable bars. She mentioned she has 2 daughters, and both of their names are 9 letters long, so the design was perfect for her. The way she said it had this quiet, proud mom energy. It sounds like it has nothing to do with a spirit session, but I'm putting it here on purpose, because once you hear everything that happened that day, you'll understand why it matters. That session carried a very particular temperature from start to finish. The most tender human warmth and the darkest subject matter existing in the same room at the same time. Then she brought out the little bear. Not a regular stuffed animal, this is the spirit bear, a REM pod EMF detector housed inside a plush bear with an antenna and a sensor system built in. Anything with energy gets close and it lights up, makes sound. Candace said she originally bought it to help children open up, because the bear shape feels safe to kids, more like playing than doing something serious. She's used it on quite a few cases, including Summer Wells, Jocelyn Smith, and Dee Blanchard. Candace said Dee in particular really took to it. But that day, the bear belonged to Meng Meng. That's not a figure of speech. The moment Candace brought it out, it started going off and didn't stop.
Yes.
She'd ask a question and it would respond. She'd say, "Okay, let me move on," and it would keep going. Eventually, she just said, "All right, he doesn't want to answer questions. He just wants to play. That's fine. This is his bear now, not mine." She said she doesn't like bombarding him with heavy questions all the time anyway. He deserves a little lightness. I bought it to help kids talk, and now he's just taken it over. She said that laughing. It's the kind of laugh you have when you've known someone long enough that even in the strangest circumstances, you recognize exactly who they are. Warm, a little bittersweet. People in the chat started sending in questions about reincarnation, about karma, whether he'd received the flowers and gifts people had sent. Meng Meng was there, sometimes responding, sometimes quiet. Candace mentioned she'd asked him multiple times whether he planned to reincarnate, and every single time the answer was the same: no. She shared her own understanding of why, that the light souls are told to walk toward is actually a loop, pulling you back into another cycle rather than letting you truly ascend. She said she gets it. This world is strange. I don't blame him. It was a calm exchange, gentle,
so lovely to see.
But calm was only the opening act. Because while that warmth was still hanging in the air, someone typed 2 words into the chat: Jim Carrey.
Those were the best days. It's a beautiful day on
There's
our
a scene in the
isn't it?
Truman Show
It is.
where
Everything
Truman's
feels so
wife,
perfect.
actually an
It's our
actress
own
hired to
slice
play
of
the role,
paradise.
delivers
Trade
this
for anything.
line. If you ever tried to leave, do you think you could? She says it's smiling, but the smile is performed.
That's enough. You're coming
The
with
woman who
us.
actually
Hey,
loved
get your
Truman
hands
was
off her.
Sylvia, the girl who appeared in his life and then got taken away before he could hold on to her.
Is anyone
She tried to
there?
tell him the truth.
I can feel
Every
something.
time the system stopped her. That day, Candace mentioned she'd done a separate channeling session for Jim Carrey just a few days before. She said it was chaotic. Signals coming from every direction, something interfering, a very dense energy in the connection that made it hard to get a clear read. But she said one image came through. A bed. A person lying on that bed. Not dead, but unable to get up. Just there. Stuck. Then she asked Mung Mung,
isn't it?
"Do you think Jim Carrey is still alive?" The bear went silent. In Candace's system, silence after a question usually reads as no. But she said she wanted to confirm, because sometimes silence means the question is framed wrong. So she reworded it.
What did you see?
"You think he's alive?"
I need to know the truth.
The bear lit up, clean and certain. She pushed further. Is he in a coma? Or some form of being trapped? Any kind of trapped? The bear stopped the instant she finished her sentence. In her system,
No, why would you say
stopping
that?
right on cue
Look
like
around.
that
The perfect
is the
sky,
cleanest
perfect house,
confirmation
it's too
you can
clean.
get.
This can't be real.
She asked, "Are people deliberately keeping him alive in order to maintain access to his money?" She physically stepped back.
Who are they talking
She said the energy of that hit moved through her body. Then someone in the chat asked, "Is he being held in a warehouse?" Candace shook her head, because before she even asked it out loud, a different image had already come to her. Not a warehouse. Something that looks, from the outside, like it's been vacant for years. Gray, worn, no signs of life. But it isn't actually abandoned. It's operating, just not anywhere you'd think to look.
What is the path forward?
Like underground artists, she said.
We must seize it together.
They're not literally underground. They're just out of your line of sight.
I know the truth.
This is an underground facility. And then she said, "There are other celebrities inside." This facility is not one person's prison, and the people in that chat weren't ready for what came next.
What? That can't be.
Are you certain?
Have you ever wondered why certain secrets can stay buried for so long? It's not because no one knows. It's because everyone who knows is already inside the system. Candace described the facility as the kind of building you'd walk past without a second glance. Old walls, looks like it's been sitting unused for years. No foot traffic, no signage, nothing to make you stop. But it's running. There are people inside. It has a purpose. She said it felt more like a shuttered hospital, an old psychiatric institution, maybe. Then someone in the chat mentioned Brittany. The moment that name appeared, the bear reacted. Candace paused visibly. Then she said, "A few weeks ago, I made a video that touched on Kanika Jenkins, Selena Gomez, and Celeste. In that video, I brought up a theory called the living doll. When that comment about Brittany came in just now, the exact same image flashed into my head." People in the chat started typing numbers. 1-4, I know what the living doll theory is. 2-4, I don't. Then she asked Meng Meng, "Is the Britney Spears we see on social media right now the real Britney Spears?" Silence. Then someone asked, "Is there a girl in that facility they call Avril?" The moment Candace said the name out loud, the bear lit up. She said she wondered if that person wasn't always called that. Maybe the name came later. But she said, "Whoever's in there, I just want to get her out. Get her off whatever they have her on, and bring her back to the real world." That's the moment you realize Candace isn't just doing a session. She's seeing something and choosing to say it out loud because she believes speaking is more right than staying quiet. But I haven't gotten to the image that unsettled her the most. That's the next chapter.
In The Truman Show, the producer's name is Christoph. Huh? He designed Truman's entire life as a television program. He says, at one point, "I gave him a better world than the real one." A better world.
A reality that was manufactured. Before Candace said what she said next, she made one thing clear. If you ever go looking for this, it is a rabbit hole you do not want to fall into. Everything I'm about to say is alleged. All of it is alleged. All of it is alleged.
Because if I don't say that, my channel disappears.
Then she said it. She said there is an alleged practice carried out by people she refuses to call the elite, people she calls Slytherins, parasites.
A practice done to specific individuals called the living doll.
The alleged process goes like this. They abduct someone, surgically remove the bones from that person's body,
and keep them alive on machines.
They do whatever they want to the boneless body.
The person doesn't die.
They are kept alive deliberately because a dead body no longer gives them what they want.
Candace said while she was describing this, an image flashed into her mind uninvited.
She wasn't reaching for it.
It came to her.
She saw a silhouette. No arms, no legs. She wasn't reaching for it.
It came to her.
She saw a silhouette. No arms, no legs. Just a torso and blonde hair. She said she knew immediately who it was. She said she didn't want to keep looking. She asked the bear,
Is the living doll theory real?
The bear didn't move. But she clarified, I want to be clear, the bear not responding doesn't mean the image was wrong. That image is real.
This exists. It's just not something I can confirm through yes or no questions in this particular case.
She asked, are they working with demonic forces?
The sound the bear made, she said, was like a flat line.
Like the single unbroken tone of a heart monitor after everything stops.
I wasn't supposed to access that place, she said.
The sound the bear made, she said, was like a flat line.
Like the single unbroken tone of a heart monitor after everything stops.
I wasn't supposed to access that place, she said.
Then she said something I think is the most important thing she said in the entire session. The people capable of doing this are not amateurs operating out of a basement.
They have academic training.
They have medical resources. They have an entire invisible infrastructure supporting what they do.
They're not random.
They're running a facility.
They have personnel, they have space, they have a process. Just like that building.
Some things persist in this world not because no one knows,
but because they were built somewhere you can't see. And everyone who can see is either inside it or afraid.
You might be wondering, if Menglong knows all of this, what can he actually do? He's already doing it. The thing he hid. The ending of The Truman Show isn't that someone rescued Truman. It wasn't someone breaking through from the outside. It wasn't a system failure, a power outage, an actor having a crisis of conscience and suddenly spilling everything. It was Truman himself until he crashed into a manufactured sky.
Truman found the wall. He found the door. And then he turned toward the camera and said,
good morning. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In the second half of that session, someone asked Candace, "Did you, Menglong, leave behind a USB drive? Is it somewhere safe?"
Her expression shifted.
"He showed me," she said.
I know roughly where it is, what it's inside. But I'm not saying it on a live stream.
If the wrong people are watching right now, I'm not going to hand them that.
She paused, then added,
He didn't give it to anyone.
it's hidden. Tucked inside something. I know what that something is, but I don't know where that something is located right now.
Probably somewhere near where he spent his last days.
Someone asked.
Will the right people be able to find the USB?
The bear lit up. Candace said, "Good."
Then she asked the question that made every scattered piece of that session click into a single shape. Menglong, are you, through other people here on Earth, by God's will, exposing the chains of human trafficking and organ trafficking? The bear, which had been quiet for a stretch, suddenly came alive. Candace laughed, but it wasn't just joy. It was the kind of feeling you have when you finally hear the answer you've been waiting for and it lands heavier than you expected. Relief. Wait. Gratitude. All at once. That's the sound from cartoons, she said, right before a character is about to take somebody down. He's doing this. He's helping.
Then she asked him one last time.
"Are you going to reincarnate?" The bear didn't move.
This was the second time she'd asked him that question on different days.
Both times, the answer was the same. No.
Candace said she understands.
She said we're told to walk toward the light. That the light is where you go.
But the light is a revolving door.
It sends you back.
Resets you. Makes you forget. Starts the cycle again.
She said she herself has no plans to go toward that light, not unless her children can ascend too. Half.
If they can't, she's staying.
This world is strange, she said. I don't blame him.
So here's what we know.
We know that in this session, Menglong sat beside a little bear he'd claimed as his own and refused to give back, and answered questions about a man who is alive but can't move, that looks abandoned but isn't.
About a hidden USB drive.
And then, when asked whether he was working by God's will to expose the darkest systems in this world,
Lit the bear up.
in The Truman Show, when Truman pushes open that door, billions of viewers hold their breath.
Not because they don't want him to leave, but because in that moment,
they finally understand that they've been watching a real person. Someone with real feelings, real memory, real grief and hope. And that he spent his entire life finding that door. I don't know what's on that USB. I don't know who else is still inside that facility, or whether they're still there. I don't know what the world looks like from where Menglong is standing now, compared to the side we're on. But I know this. He is telling us he's still here. He hasn't disappeared. He's telling us that light is not the ending. And he chose to stay, because there are things he hasn't finished yet. He hid something, so the right hands can find it.
He's waiting for something to be seen.
If you made it to the end of this video and you feel that thing in your back, that cold that you can't quite name, leave me a comment and tell me which part made you stop and think the longest. Was it Jim Carrey, the USB, or the Living Doll chapter? I want to know what you're thinking.
See you next time.
Thank you for being here, for listening, for caring about a story the world tried to silence. If this video touched something in your heart, subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss what comes next. Drop a comment, let me know you're here, because every voice matters, and yours is one of them. I'm Angel. May the light be with you.
Tell me, is any of this real? That abandoned looking building, what's behind those walls of steel? Tell me, where exactly are you now? On a bed you can't get up from. Did they finally take you down?
I need to know the truth this time.
This world is so much harder than they said it was. That light they tell you walk toward is not the home it was. I know that you haven't forgotten us here. That USB is waiting for the right hands to appear. Truman crashed into the painted sky. That's the only way he found.
Why did you stop moving?
No, really, what happened? You're just frozen. The other side, how many holes they've drilled into this world's core. They call themselves the elite, but that name they didn't earn. You're a snake in fancy clothing, every stone will overturn. His name won't disappear, 'cause someone's always here to hear. Tell me this is more than just a ghost. We're all here waiting, listening to what matters most. Tell me you're still standing next to us. The little bear still glowing.
What are they talking about? Let's ask
You haven't left us yet. This world is so much harder than they said it was. The light they tell you walk toward is not the home it was. I know that you haven't forgotten us here. We haven't forgotten you either.